Hi, I'm Resham Arden, and this is the Now I Know podcast covering a wide range of wellbeing topics. I'm delighted to be joined today by Parm Gill from Spirit Rush. Parm is an integrated health and body coach specialising in training and educating people in how to transform their body, their mind and mental wellbeing. Parm is an expert in her field with a personal story of resilience and reinvention. Today, amongst other things, we'll be talking about mindfulness-based strength training, which is part of her unique approach. Welcome, Parm.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. And I know you're so busy because you've literally come from a session and you've walked in. So really, really grateful for your time. So thank you for coming in. Obviously, today is about mindfulness-based strength training. And we've known each other for a long time, and you've got a really touching story about how you went into how you got into the fitness industry. So could you share with the audience your journey and how you got into fitness?
Sure. I've always trained since I was around about 17, 18. I always watched my dad get up, rain, wind or shine. He'll take the dog early hours of the morning, regardless of a night shift or how he felt. I used to watch him. And he had a little structure, a little routine, and he seemed really content in himself. I remember the dog coming home before him. So I think I unconsciously modelled that, having a structure to my day. So I got into training, just joining some classes. And then everything changed in terms of getting married. And then I changed my training routine and looked at it in a different approach. So my training slowed down because my stage of life was different. So I sort of put that in the background and started focusing on my work more, my career. And that's when I studied to be a HR advisor, which was my dream job. Then I stayed in that marriage for 5 years. Unfortunately, it was a very physical, abusive relationship. I got out of that and I went straight into another relationship. But during that phase, I still trained. And then I met the lovely Gill.
Your lovely husband?
Yes. And I looked at him and I thought, wow, he's got muscles, but he's so calm. I want to be like that. He's so inspiring in terms of the engagement and how I got to know him. And we clicked straight away, got married within a year. Wow. Family wasn't very happy, but he taught me meditation, which I started meditating and putting that into my regime every single day. We decided to become parents, and I was fortunate enough to have my lovely Sean and Sasha, twins. And then things changed again. Being a first-time mum, a mother of twins, we thought we had everything in terms of tools to take that next stage. But that's when I transitioned again, and I fell very ill because I didn't get the support. We lived on our own with these two twins, and I struggled very in an isolated way, mentally, and the anxiety. My world got from this to a very small place, and I started getting panic attacks at night, putting pressure on myself, and then I went into depression, and I didn't know it. And the way it came out, my body started reducing my sleep cycle. I started from sleeping 6 hours to 2 hours a day.
Wow.
And then while my family slept, I got in the garden and I trained. I found a local gym. I remember waiting outside the gym and waiting for it to open. Wow. I was awake. And I don't know, unconsciously, I just thought, I'm going to make myself feel better. And the way I will do that is through a short circuit, just to wake myself up mentally. Then my mental health got worse even more because you can't function on sleep, and then your family relies on you. And I went to the doctors and I said, look, I'm really struggling. I'm not sleeping. I think I've got anxiety and I'm getting heart palpitations. And they go, here you go. Here's these pills for anxiety. Here's these pills for depression. I took the packets home, excited. I go, I've got some help. But I thought, inside my head, it didn't feel right.
Yeah.
I threw them in the bin. And I kept on training every single day from 2012 up until this day. And it was like building blocks. And I slowly started having more good days rather than bad days, with a few relapses, because I was just on the go 24 hours. My company kept my job open for 2 years, but I wasn't well enough. I didn't have the support. I didn't have the support from grandparents, and it was just me and my husband.
Yeah.
So we were in a very dark place, but I kept on moving, Risham. I kept on training as I knew how, and my training method changed. It was more meaningful. It was more for health and my mental well-being, rather than how I feel and in terms of how my body looks. And I can remember how I used to push myself was how I felt after I trained. And it was a piece of euphoria. It just woke me up. It made me feel confident and strong. Yes, it was hard, but I kept going. And I got to a place where, you know, they went to high school and I got better and better. And I remember our first family holiday, Sean and Sasha were 3 years old. I was doing little sprints with them. And it was just like an epiphany. And I thought, Ricky, I said to my husband, I want to help women out there. I go, look what I've done. And he goes, Parm, you've got to use this. And I applied for the course, PT, level 2, level 3.
Yeah.
And I just went for it. And while I was studying, while they were at school part-time, I started getting my clients through the school gates. They're like, you got twins? How come you look so good?
Yeah.
And I go, come and have 20 minutes with me, you know, for free.
Yeah.
And that's it, just build word of mouth. I didn't have Facebook, didn't have Instagram, but I believed in it.
Yeah.
And it just has been so kind to me. And the clients I do have are such loyal clients. And my best clients are the beginners. And we work through real life issues and we train on them. And that's how I got into fitness. I passed my exam, Flying Colours, and then I started getting proper clients. We worked in gardens initially with a smash ball, skipping rope, a box. And then Ricky built me a garage. Started in the garage, and then properly we in the last 2 years we built the studio, and that's it.
Wow.
That's how I got into it.
You know, I really love your journey, and thank you for sharing that, because I know you and I have spoken about this before, but I really wanted you to share that, because something people don't talk enough about is being a new mum, and it is so lonely. And like you said, when you look back at it, you're like, actually, I was depressed. Yeah. But at the time, you don't really know it. You just know something's not right. You don't know what it is. And I think we need to be taught. This is why I love the podcast, because I'd love someone, you know, if they're a new mum, you just need to surround yourself with some company, someone to talk to, because everyone's at work and you're just trying to find the little community of people that you can just have a chat to and they understand it. But I think one thing that stands out with you, Parm, is I had the same thing. I met, you know, we've known each other since our 20s and we've known each other for 25 years, but I bumped into you later on in life and I was like, wow, you've had twins and look how amazing you look. Because sometimes you could be like, oh, my body's like this because I've had a baby. But you were like, Resh, it doesn't have to be that way. No. I remember something you said to me. You said, Resh, you know, your muscle has memory. It remembers what it was like before you had kids, and it can snap back. And you are a perfect example of that. And I know a lot of people that come to you, a lot of your clients, and one thing I think they love about you is you're not just a personal trainer, but you've also been, you know, in the same dark spaces they've been in. You know, and so when they speak to you, you so get it, you teach us all how to incorporate training in, between the kids or with the kids. And like you said, you remembered your dad and how, so unconsciously we're teaching our kids. And I remember you said to me, work out in front of your children, because unconsciously they'll pick up all of these things. And I remember doing that. And I remembered in lockdown, because I used to do skipping anyway. And you said to me, Resh, do skipping with the kids when they're in the garden. And I do that now. So while the kids are in the garden, I remember in lockdown, we were spending more time outside. And then the kids were like, oh, can I have a go now? Without me telling them, they'll now pick up the skipping rope. And I think what you're doing, not just for anyone, but especially for mums, people with children, is you're teaching them, like, you can find the time and this is how you can do it. And, figuring out different ways. Like now I sort of remember, instead of just walking up the stairs, I'll jump up the steps, because you were like, you can find a way, Resh, to just build that in. And speaking of finding a way, you've mentioned something like you've got 3% of your day you can allocate to training.
3%.
Yeah.
No, you can't make excuses. You brush your teeth, you find time to brush your teeth for 2 minutes. You can find that space to train. You don't need an hour. You need 20 minutes. Have some knowledge. I started really training when my kids were young, and I found this personal trainer, and his name's James Wake. And he said, Parm, you've got such resilience. You're getting up every day. I used to turn up crying because I haven't slept. But once you mindfully get into that space, your space, you'll enjoy it. Give it a couple of minutes. I don't get up every day and I think, oh, I can't wait to get my shorts on. This is so exciting. No, I want to bloody roll over and go back to sleep. My family's asleep.
Yeah.
I know how I'm going to feel when I pull that porridge, when I do my daughter's hair and I've done my training session.
Yeah.
And she knows I have.
Yeah.
And when I say I used to see my dad, at the time I found him very annoying. He used to have the alarm on 4:30 and I'll think, oh my God, this man, like, look what he gave me.
Yeah.
I know that now. And people say, oh, I've got a wedding, Parm, I can't come, I haven't got time, I didn't train because, so-and-so passed away or the shopping turned up late. And I'm like, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's an excuse.
I remember, Ish, my father passed away in lockdown on his funeral day, I told you. I got up that much earlier, I did my training session to a prayer, which is very close to my heart. And I got dressed and I carried his coffin. Wow. And I felt clear in my head. I was there, I was present. And what this gives you is so powerful.
And it's something no one can take away.
Yeah. Don't take it for granted. Don't think, oh, I'm going to start next week. I'm going to start next year. Start today. You don't know if you'll get tomorrow.
So true.
Every day bring life to your actual day.
Yeah. And I remember something, because you're based at home, you're not in a gym. What I liked was, I remember I said to you, Parm, I'm not working. I'm going to start going back to work. I need to find a routine that works, and also I just need to be okay to go back to work. Because as a mum, we're not getting any sleep, and I was really worried. How am I even going to function when I get a full-time job? And so you not only did you give me these little tips and tricks, like, oh, you can, you can fit it into your day, do a bit of skipping or run up the stairs, but I remember that one day my son, I had no childcare, and I said to you, Parm, I've got my son with me, and you're like, it's fine. And I remembered you put the training in the toy room, so he was sort of busy crawling around in the toy room, and we were doing like all these squats and all this stuff. And I think that is something really unique that someone can offer somebody, right? That, like, don't even make that an excuse. Bring your child with you. You're in the garden.
You made it happen.
Yeah, and this is another thing. It's like, what do you think differs from someone, let's say for example like me, that didn't make an excuse and brought my kids with me, to someone that does? Is it like they're not ready, or they're just like, what is it that's stopping them just doing it?
I mean, listen, motivation comes. You have to create discipline. You never not comb your hair, right? You slowly build it into your life. You start planning the night before. Put your socks in your trainers, lay out your shorts or your cycling, so it's there.
Yeah.
You're holding yourself accountable. One day turns into two days turns into 3 sessions. You know, you build it up and you never look back. On those hard days, you need to train. On the good days, you need to train. It's something that we owe ourselves as mothers, as fathers, as students, as children. And most importantly, if you're a parent, your children are watching.
Yeah,
you know?
they are. And it's amazing how you said, you know, once you've done the workout and it's how you feel after. Yeah. And it's that bit, you know, when it's raining, you're like, oh my God, it's raining. But I know I'm going to feel so much better after it. Yeah. And I said to my kids now, doing a workout has become like my coffee. Like I really need it. And if I don't get it, I'm like, oh my God, where's my coffee, you know? And I think that's for anyone listening, it's trying to find a way, like you said.
You've gone from discipline and it turns into motivation.
Yeah.
You know?
Totally. I love that. And
create good habits.
Yeah.
And you feed off them.
Yeah.
And you don't want to go back. You should be booking a holiday and you find a hotel with a gym in.
Yes. Yeah.
Before you find the beach.
Yeah.
You know?
Good idea.
That's your way of life. It's not, oh, I want to get fit for a wedding. I want to get fit, you know, because I've got a party, or, you know, you do the fitness for your mental health and your body itself.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Because that's then a lifestyle, right? Because the wedding comes and goes. So when it's over, what do you go back to? The old way. So the reason for doing it needs to be for yourself rather than an event.
Exactly. There's women. Oh, Parm, I can't afford it. I need help, but I can't afford it. I'm going to buy this dress. You're going to dress a body that you don't feel confident in.
Yeah.
You know, what's more important?
Yeah, absolutely.
You can put on a bin bag, but the way you feel and you look inside is so powerful, and you can create that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I remembered when I came to you and I was a nightmare on the treadmill, and you were like, Resh, have you got low blood pressure? And I was like, yeah. And you were like, in your car. I remember this. You said to me, keep your nuts in the car, you said to me. So like when you're driving, you've got that energy. And I was just, you know, like that was so simple. Like while you're always in the car driving anyway, keep the healthy snack there to keep your, you know, sugar levels up. And I remember all these little things you mentioned to me. So there's so many things you're telling people, but you probably don't even realise you've made such a massive difference, because all of these things you did with me.
I can't remember that.
Yeah, it was years ago. So like Dylan's 9 now, and he was, so 7 years ago I came to you, and I remembered everything you said to me.
Wow.
You know? So, you know, I thank you so much. That's a gift you've given me for life. So I really, really thank you for that. But I know, touching on, you said you met your husband, Ricky, and he taught you sort of meditation. Because I know you talk about mindfulness, strength. Yeah. But what was the meditation? Because I know meditation is so many forms, isn't it? What was the meditation that worked for you?
What worked for me is connecting my mind to my body. Like when I'm sitting down and meditating, I connect my breath with my heart. You know,
love that.
And I also have a piece of music. Music drives me. You know, you could be emotional and you put a certain piece of music on. You could be happy and you add that sort of kind of feeling to the music. So the meditation I do at the bookends are very different to the meditation I do through the training. Like I teach my clients, you know, you welcome your morning and you say good night to your day. Okay, 5 minutes a day. And the way we train is mindfully as well. So different forms of meditation, they don't have to be an hour long. They can be 5 minutes. You find your own form of meditation that works for you. But the whole idea of meditation is bringing yourself into the now, you know, clearing that head. If thoughts are going to come, the more you train your mind to sort of accept the thoughts and bring yourself into your body, the better you get. And then you get yourself in a certain place where your mind does feel clear. It does take practice. Again, it's like building blocks.
Yeah.
You can train your mind to do anything. You can train your body to do anything.
Absolutely.
You know? So explore the forms of meditation. There's so much meditation on the internet. I love the Deepak Chopra meditation.
Yeah.
You know? And I like the affirmation kind of meditation as well. That's very powerful, where you say I am this, I am that. That's very powerful as well.
Yeah. I love the I ams, because I do a lot of affirmations and journaling, gratitude, and I didn't realise the importance of it, but I saw a podcast with a guy called Mo Gaudat. He was on like Stephen Bartlett and stuff like that, and he actually says that what that does is it's actually it's neuroscience, right? So it's actually rewiring your brain, and it's constantly sort of your brain is a muscle, so you're then training this muscle in your brain to start thinking more positively. So when you think of it from a neuroscience point of view, it makes sense. Like I am
Very
or
powerful.
the whole gratitude is so powerful. I put it on my social media as well, like how powerful gratitude is at the end of the day, because it is that muscle we're training. So absolutely love that. So you've touched on your journey. Thank you for that. And for people listening who also sort of are into the fitness world and then they wanted to set up their own business and be, this journey into now, it's great being a fitness person, but I now want to teach others. What tip would you give people? Because there's so many personal trainers out there. So, how did you get into, I know you said you did a course and you mentioned that, it was like word of mouth and you didn't really do much social media, but what tip could you give to someone who wanted to get into that personal training fitness world? Just how would they start?
You've got to live it and breathe it, first of all. I mean, your body is your advertisement.
Yeah.
You've got to believe it. And you'll find your own little technique or your own little sort of vision as the way you want to train. The first personal trainer that I went to was, he was very much about how you're feeling, and he spoke about the progression. And for me, I train in a different way. You'll find your own niche. I would say you've got to believe it, and you've got a way of working with clients. You've got to have a relationship with the clients as well.
Yeah.
Anyone who wants to get into it needs to understand it. It's not just a transaction. With my clients, I know what's quite powerful is actually coming in with the mindset of having a goal, right? As a personal trainer, I've got to bring more out of them. If there's blockages in their life which are not so positive, we've got to work through them whilst training. If there is blockage, you won't get that goal that you desire.
Yeah.
There could be another personal trainer who's into bodybuilding, So find your own niche in terms of personal training, understand the physiology, and go and shadow other personal trainers. You've got to be passionate about it and understand it. You've got to understand people as well.
Totally.
If you treat it like a transaction, it's not going to be successful.
Yeah. And that's what I love about your mindfulness-based strength training, because it's about your intention as well with the client, right? And your intention, like I said to you, you've given me a gift for life. Whether I use it then or later, I've always got that. And I think that's what I just love about the work you do. I think it's amazing. So I'm really glad you didn't go back to the HR world.
I know.
Because we wouldn't have met you.
I loved it. I worked really hard.
Yeah.
I met so many people, but this seems more meaningful.
Yeah.
Because I get to work with children as well.
Yeah.
Little footballers who want to get better. It starts with the body.
Yeah.
And teaching the young children about mindfulness.
Yeah.
Then getting football coaches. They train these young children. Are you really connected to those children? Do you really know what you're doing? You're training these kids and you're walking around with a bare belly.
Yeah.
What message are you bringing them?
Totally.
Because we've worked with the Brunel boys as well. I've done a few, circuits for them. They're Brunel University football team. And they come in with this swagger and that attitude. When I say no, connect with the breath, the brain, and they're like, what's that?
Yeah.
They laugh at you. But they get they're young boys. They know nothing else, do they?
Absolutely.
They just take it as a form of transaction again. I've got to play well.
Yeah.
Let's start with the mind, and trust. You can get to a place where you think you could never get to a place. I'm in the best shape of my life. My body has changed from a teenager to now. If I can do it, you can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny you say that with the younger generation. So with my daughter, she's doing her mock GCSEs, and I said to her, like, you need to take a break, and like your brain can't function like this all the time. You need to go out, change your environment, go out and get some fresh air. But I think slowly they are starting to learn, aren't they? That it's more about the brain, and performance is not just studying from 9 to 5. So what you're planting to the little football team is, you're planting some seeds of information, whether they listen to it then or later, or they might listen to it and not do it in front of the boys, but they'll do it back home. But you're planting those seeds of information. And I think I find the younger generation more open to stuff than when we were.
Yes. My kids, they're doing their first end of year exams. And I'm like, you've got to be in the gym for 10 minutes before you sit your bum down.
Yeah.
And the days they don't train, I see their energy and their mood.
Yeah.
and they don't want to do it, but you as a parent have got to push them to begin with.
Yeah.
Now my daughter Sasha, she's like, Mummy, I'm going to train first, I'm going to have my water, I'm going to cream my face, and then I'm going to do my revisions.
Brilliant.
I'm like, wow,
Yeah.
Vicky, look
Amazing.
what we've created.
Amazing.
You know?
And it's funny you said it, because I think my son, he's 9, he's picked up that I say this to Shri because she's 14. Yeah. So when he wants to do his homework, he's like, Mum, I need to go out and play football first, get some fresh air, get the blood flowing to the brain, and then I'll do my homework. And don't you just love that? It's so brilliant.
You should be proud.
Oh, I'm so proud. So proud of my kids, because now I'm like, so you do listen to what I'm saying. Yeah. But it's just when it's the right time, they'll register it. But I love that. Isn't that great? You get play fresh air and then do homework.
This day and age, with their little gadget things, that drives me crazy.
Yeah.
You know, we used to play with tents and stuff.
Yeah.
Now they're like,
yeah, absolutely. So I think it's amazing what you're doing. And talking of age, and you said, you went through lots of transition periods. So there's lots of people listening now that over 30s, over 40s. And what, now that I'm going through sort of perimenopause, I've noticed not many people talk enough about like menopause strength training and the bodies. And I spoke to you about it, and I was like, we need to educate more people about strength training during perimenopause. So what would you say to someone listening who's going through perimenopause or menopause in terms of what sort of training they need to sort of transition to? Because obviously our needs are going to be a little more different now, isn't it, as our bodies change?
Whether you're a man or a woman, to begin with, our body composition, our bone strength, our bone density, it is challenged after 30. It's not as strong, okay? So we should be incorporating resistance training. We train our bones to bring strength back. If you're even with an injury, you can train yourself to recover from that injury. And with strength training, you use resistance to build that bone strength up, and it's vital whether you're going through perimenopause or not. When you are going through perimenopause or menopause, or you've come over that chapter, you're prone to injuries a lot more. You're prone to osteoporosis, and you can reverse this or help you through that chapter through strength training. You can get your body strong enough to prevent injuries as well. And more importantly, when we do go through perimenopause, our mental health is compromised.
Yeah.
The hormones are challenged, they're compromised, the estrogen and progesterone, that declines, and our mood is affected. We're getting anxious thoughts, and you think, oh, have I got anxiety? I'm sitting there, I've got heart palpitations. Yes, cardio is very good. It's very important for your heart health.
Yeah.
In terms of strength training, it could be short bursts of profiles which bring a different kind of energy. It wakes you up, including allowing your body to carry yourself in terms of strength, your posture, and prevent injury. Say you've got a knee injury, you build the muscles around that knee, and then you're not recruiting the kneecap to aid the walking.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So it's vital, and that's why I got into strength training, first of all, and I sort of just fell upon it. I'm going to be 50 next year, and
oh my God, you look amazing.
Touch wood, I feel so strong.
Yeah.
And every year I'm lifting heavier and heavier.
Yeah.
And it's helped my perimenopause mentally and physically. We're not that same person we were 20 when we were in our 20s at all. And luckily enough, it's helped me carry through and carry myself through perimenopause, which is very vital. I feel that release, that endorphins, my clear head.
Yeah.
And I say this for men as well.
Yeah.
Start young. If you didn't take to training when you're in it, start now. There's never an age. And that's why I love the best form of clients are beginners.
Yeah.
Those who are on the treadmill for hours, then they're lifting heavy weights. It is just magical.
Wow. I went on a yoga retreat a few years ago, and our cabin was on a mountain. So every morning we'd have to go down, go to the beach just to cleanse ourselves with the ocean, meditate, and then we'd have to climb up the mountain back for lunch. And the ladies with me were a lot older than me. And I couldn't walk up the mountain as fast as they could. And I was so embarrassed. And I was like, oh my God, you guys are amazing. And they said to me, Resham, when we're old, it's our legs that will carry us. So you need to make sure you have strong legs. And when I came back from that, I was like, right, I really need to sort my legs out. I think I've neglected them. I do a lot of walking, but I don't do enough like strength training and resilience. So I think what you're doing is amazing. And I, on my social media, I talk a lot about this guy called Dr. Mark Hyman. And he talks about, he's never been so fit. He's in his 60s and he's the fittest he's ever been, the strongest he's ever been. He even got his dad. Imagine he's 60. He got his dad a personal trainer to build his strength. I was telling my mum, like, she's got weak legs. I'm like, Mum, you need to do strength training. Like, you are not old. And so what Dr. Mark Hyman says is you just associate age with the aches and the pains and being frail and sitting in a chair. But really, this is your time to like strengthen yourself. So what advice would you give like the over 60s? So like my mum and dad watching. My dad's really good. He goes to the gym. But what would you give to those people? Advice would you give to those people who, they've not really learnt about strength training for the over 60s? How could they start? What would they do?
I think it's the way they see age.
Yeah.
They think, oh, I'm old now. This is my life now. I'm going to sit down and relax and take it. Yeah, do that. But it's the way you think about age.
Yes.
How do you think when you're talking about age, how I'm going to be in my 50s and 40s? It's that connection you have with getting older.
Yeah.
How I see it, it's never too late.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you want to go to your grave and think, I could have done more?
Yeah.
You want to go to a certain age, to the last day of life on this planet, knowing that you've pushed yourself to the point where you couldn't push anymore and you've achieved so much physically and mentally.
Yeah.
How I see age, we've got longer time to gain knowledge. I'm still learning.
Yeah, absolutely.
I go to a PT to push myself that much further. I want to keep growing and growing and growing. I was lifting weights. I was doing squat racks a week before Sean and Sasha were born.
Wow.
And I had the easiest, happiest pregnancy. And I know now, thinking what I know now, it's because I took to training.
Yeah. It prepared you for that moment, didn't it?
I never thought, I'm going to be 36. How am I going to cope?
Yeah.
I thought, no, I want to get better and better and better.
Absolutely.
Mentally and physically. I'm excited by every single day. People say, Parm, you're going home so late, so early. You're so boring. I want to get up early.
Yeah. I
want to train and I want to get out with my kids.
Yeah. And it's that thing as well, isn't it? How how good you're going to feel after doing this. It's a bit like, when you get out for a drink the night before and you're like, I know if I have this one, I'm going to have a really crap day tomorrow. So I'd rather sacrifice that and have a great day tomorrow. Yeah. And I'm like you, I'm sort of the one that leaves early because I just think I don't really want a day like that. Yeah. Well, it's nice to meet like-minded people then. It's not just me.
Nice
to meet you.
They call me a bore.
Oh, no.
I'll be a strong bore.
Don't worry. When we're in our 60s and 70s, let's all talk then, okay?
Rocking a six-pack.
Yeah. No, absolutely. And I think that's something I wanted to touch on as well is when now you've said you're 50. When I was probably in my teens or 20s, I would have thought 50 was old. Yes. But now I'm like, God, we're just in our prime. Like the kids we're now having a bit more time for ourselves. The kids are getting older, going out with their mates, and now we've got our time. And I want to be like, when we're retired, I don't want to be sitting in a chair. I want to be traveling the world with this energy. And, this is your prime,
Out there, Resham, the 50s are rocking. The 40s are sexier than the 40s in our generation.
Totally agree, yeah.
Because they're learning more. We're changing.
Yeah.
As a generation, we're more into our mental health. We're talking about our mental health a bit more. We're helping each other.
Yeah.
We're rising each other. And we're learning whilst watching and growing with that.
Yeah.
When in our generation, we saw, the aunties in the kitchen doing their chapatis and the men drinking.
Yeah.
We knew nothing different.
Yeah.
But we've changed that story.
Absolutely.
We've become mothers and we've turned it around.
Yeah.
And our children will benefit from that.
Absolutely.
And you do your very best as a parent.
Yeah. And you're like you say, you've always said this to me, your children are watching you. And I always remembered that. Like, however, even when you know, as much as I talk about this quite openly, I do a lot of breath work for my panic attacks and my anxiety, but I also do it in front of the kids to show them like, you know, mummy's having a moment and then this is what I'm going to do, because then what happens then is when they're having that moment, they remember, what did mum do to calm herself? So my son does that a lot. When he gets nervous to go and play football, he'll breathe, or, you know, he'll go, Mum, I need to ask you a question. I'll be like, what's the matter? And he'll breathe. They'll go, can I have a second Kit Kat? You know, but anything to manage his nerves is like, I love the fact that he knows it's breath work he'll use. Whereas I think Shree's more like, she needs to go out for that walk. Hers is the walk, you know, so they're all finding their thing that works for them.
Look what you're giving them. You know, you're giving them little pockets of tools.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right?
And that all came from you, Parm, saying they are watching you. You said anything I'm doing, even if I'm having a meltdown or I'm, you know, sad about something, you know, like, we're not that generation that are told just hold it in. You know, I just want them to open up, and it's okay. And I always say to them, like, even when we're crying is healing. When we hold it in, we're not healing, you know?
Speaking about it.
Yeah, and I think we're a generation that, you know, I say to my daughter, you guys are so lucky you've got all these tools. Imagine what you're all going to be when you're adults. Like, we're only learning this now in our 30s and 40s, and you guys are doing this stuff at school. I think it's amazing. So in terms of someone starting out, if they were to have a session with you, what could they expect as a beginner with Parm? Like, how would you approach it? Is it quite bespoke depending on what their needs are?
It's very intimate. It's very short. It's intimate. It's very powerful. You know, I try and calibrate every client that walks through that door. Everyone's got a story. It's up to me to get to know that story, whether it's after 6 sessions or the first sessions. We get to know you, your lifestyle, your work, how you carry yourself day to day, and then we look at your goal. And I will help you get that. If you give me 100% transparency, I'll give you 200. You will achieve that goal, but you've got to be patient. You know, you've got to be prepared to change, make positive changes in your life if you need to. You've got to be consistent. We will teach you the tools in terms of, you know, using your mind with your body, connecting mind to muscle. We'll teach you how to use your breath to carry and execute each profile. You'll come up with your own affirmation where you want to give up. For me, when I want to push that extra, I have an affirmation.
Yes.
I'm like, come on, you bitch, do more. You know? You'll have your own little affirmation.
Yeah.
You know? You'll learn how to be kind to yourself, talk to yourself, and be okay if you have relapsed.
Yeah.
You know, and be able to pick you up. I will hold you accountable.
Yeah.
You know, you've got to show me your commitment.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. So, you know, like when I sort of start to educate myself on strength training through menopause, so I'm not a gym person, but I joined the gym because I thought then I can do the weights there. Yeah. But I'm also, like you say, I like to find 5-10 minutes here and there just to do a little workout between meetings when I'm working from home. So I think hybrid working has been great for me because I'm able to fit in more of my fitness. Amazing. You know, which I think is brilliant. So I actually want to get some sort of weights for home. What would you, I don't know what size, like what's the weight I should have for home so it's not, I'm not doing myself damage. What would you say?
First of all, start small.
Small, okay.
Get to know your body. Start with your own body weight.
Okay, own body weight, right.
Learn small profiles. Get yourself a personal trainer to gain that knowledge.
Yeah.
Okay. And once you've got your form and your breath right, then get into the weight training. You know, you start off small with a 2 kg dumbbell. Yeah. It's not about, you know, pumping and getting yourself all, you know, pumped up. It's about knowledge. And it's about connecting your mind to your muscle. You know, so start small, start with your own body weight, get yourself a skipping rope, a little box, have a few sessions with a personal trainer to work through how to weight train, and then slowly just build. You don't have to see that PT every week. You can make a session with them once a month. Okay. It's about gaining the knowledge, isn't it? And, you know, listen, Risham, our body changes. It gets lazy. Yeah. You could do skipping and burpees and you've lost a kg. You carry on doing that. Your body will think, oh, this is boring. Right. So you've got to change it up. You've got to change it up. I'm changing it up. I'm not doing the same workout I was doing last year. Yeah. You know, but if you're okay with maintaining, stay the same. If you want to progress and take your body to another level. That's when you progress with the weight. But your form's got to be right. Like I said, your breath's got to be right. You've got to know how to train your mind to connect with your muscle. It's about gaining knowledge.
Yeah.
But
Love that.
Don't go in there full force.
Yeah.
Over 30, over 40, we don't want to be training like we were in our 20s. We don't want longer sessions.
Right.
At our age, we want short, sharp sessions that will build into our life.
Right.
And hourly sessions that, it turns into cortisol. You just feel stressed. You don't want to have a stressful circuit. Learn what is right for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
A 30-minute, 40-minute circuit. And your PT should able to train you and give you that knowledge.
Absolutely. So knowledge is key, right?
Don't be afraid to ask. Don't be afraid to invest and get the knowledge. And you'll gain that knowledge and you'll be training yourself. Like I train myself.
Yeah, absolutely. Love that. So, I mentioned to you before, so Shri, they were more in that fitness mindset. Yeah. So Shri said she wants to start joining the gym with me because I've started to go. And you mentioned they should be lifting weights because they're still growing. So what advice would you give to parents whose teenagers want to start the gym and fitness? Is it more, you mentioned cardio?
Cardio.
Right.
Get to know your little machines, your cross trainer, your running machine, your little ski erg. Learn how to control slow movements through box jumps. Teach yourself how to do a press up properly. For them, don't lift weights at this age because your body's growing. Like with me, Sean and Sasha, they use light weights, and my son will say, "Oh, mummy, this is easy." Stop, Sean. Give me another 4, and you'll realise.
Yeah.
When they stop growing, and then they can introduce heavier weights. Just start very light with the body weight. Again, they need to know the form. They need to know how to land. They need to know how to correct their posture, and they need to be present.
Yeah.
In that space, learn how to be present. And that's when the control comes and the enjoyment and the clear head.
Yeah.
Yeah. So start with their little bodies first, their body weight, the little machines. Okay.
Love
and
that.
if you want to invest in a personal trainer, they'll start them off with little weights and they'll gain knowledge and grow with that knowledge until they're in their teens. And that's when the weight training comes, if they want to take to weight training.
Yeah.
Or they want to be a little jogging buddy, teach them how to run.
Yeah.
There's a form to that as well. You don't want to be pounding the pavements. Get the children running on the grass.
Absolutely. So in terms of the kids, you're starting to help coach with your husband, coach a football team. So tell us more about this football team.
Well, it's a football team Ricky's getting into. I get nervous talking about Ricky's business because I think, Parm, you've explained it wrong. But he's building a football academy, and he brings me along with every team, and I do short, sharp circuits with these young boys.
Yeah.
And we learn about acceleration and strength training and the ability to sort of work with the ball, the agility, as well as bringing strength to your body and your legs. And again, the meditation. It's short little circuits, and I absolutely love it because it makes me feel young because I'm with these young boys.
Absolutely.
And what it gives them is just amazing. And then when they have a win on the weekend, you think, I can give myself a pat on the back,
you contributed to that win, absolutely.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to touch too much on it because I'm going to get your husband on as a guest as well. And I really want to hear about this journey. But I've been following you guys on social media, and I think what you're doing is amazing because you've got so much that you're doing for a lot of the adults now, but this is now the next generation that you guys are having a huge impact on. So I love that. So thank you for today. We have a closing question on the podcast. And I would like the audience to come away from the podcast and say, now I know about mindfulness-based strength training. So with everything you've been through, Parm, what do you wish you knew about your fitness in your younger years to help you overcome the challenges that you faced?
I wish, I get really emotional, I wish I had more confidence in myself back then. If I started training earlier on in my childhood, I think I could have become something. In terms of building mindfulness into strength training is so powerful. And wish I knew it back then, but this was my time. I had to go through trauma or something to help myself, my children, my audience, my clients.
Totally.
So mindful has a big part to do with the training. Know why you're doing it, what it gives you, and the value and the respect it. And don't be afraid investing in gaining knowledge. It's the best gift you can give to yourself. If I didn't have that, Risham, I don't think I'd be here today. You know, I'm not going to cry.
Oh, no, thank you so much. I know what you mean.
It is. I mean, every year I take on a teenager for free, you know, teaching this young child the ability to train and work with your mind, and hopefully they carry that, you know. I reach out to a teenager and say, come on board, I'll help you. I'm able to do that. I hope, you know, in future I can take on more children.
Absolutely.
Kids are grown and independent. I love what I do because it's so powerful.
And that's the best thing, isn't it, about when you're doing something you're so passionate about. It doesn't feel like a job or a chore or a challenge. It's just you love what you do and you're so amazing at it. But thank you for that closing question. Thank you for being so open and vulnerable. But for people that want to get in touch with you, let them know, where are you based and how can they reach you on social media?
I'm based in Wraysbury.
Okay.
My social media is Facebook, and I've got an Instagram page. And you can get in touch with yourself, and I'm happy to have a quick chat, be it, book yourself on a training session or have a quick chat on where you want to start. I'm happy to take calls.
Yeah.
You know, so you can get me either on the phone, through my Instagram, social media, or my Facebook.
Thank you. So everyone listening, all the links will be in the podcast, so you can see all the links to Parm. But thank you so much, Parm. Thank you for your time, because you have got such a busy schedule, and I really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, Risham.
Thank you. Thanks for listening, everyone.